Welcome back to Open Window Politics. Today we're going to be doing a prediction between the former Secretary of Transportation in the Biden administration, Pete Buttigieg, on the Democratic side, of course, versus the Republican frontrunner at the moment for the 2028 presidential nomination, that being J.D. Vance, the current vice president. Vance is also a former senator from Ohio. Before that, well-known author. Pete Buttigieg was former mayor of South Bend, Indiana. He ran for the presidency for the Democratic Party's nomination in 2020. Ultimately, he of course ended up losing and dropping out and endorsing Biden. Biden later appointed him to the Secretary of Transportation position in his administration. He served in that role for the Biden term, and Pete Buttigieg has been floated as a potential candidate Democrats could put forward. I don't think he's the most likely at the moment, but he is certainly an option that Democrats are considering. So I'll start out in Nevada and then move eastward. So I'm going to put Nevada into the tilt blue column. I think this state will be one of the easier, if not the easiest states for Democrats to win back as far as states they lost in 2024. And Democrats lost every state, so it's very likely they would win at least one, especially with the national environment favoring Democrats pretty heavily at the moment. So that would be the state of Nevada. Arizona, less sure about that. I've gone over my reasons for that. They are generally more of a Republican-leaning state, especially if it's a candidate other than Trump or a Trump-like candidate. I do think the Sun Belt at large is going to shift more and more into the Democratic Party's column. I don't think that J.D. Vance would be able to do quite amazingly well in Arizona, but I think it would be enough to still win the state by a tilt margin. So that is going to be Arizona. And then we're going to get to the district here in Omaha. This district was like the only competitive race that Democrats actually ended up winning in 2024. It was by if I remember correctly, ballpark 3-point margin. This district, I think, would almost certainly end up in the Democratic Party's column again if the election were to be held today between these two candidates. So that is going to move up into the lean blue rating. And then we'll go on down to Georgia and North Carolina. Georgia, I'm going to put that into the tilt blue rating. This state has seen some positive election results for Democrats recently, and both Georgia and North Carolina will have crucial Senate election races to watch. In Georgia, it is Jon Ossoff's seat. He is a Democrat defending as the incumbent. And in North Carolina, it's an open Senate seat. Republicans currently control both seats in the Senate for North Carolina. However, Democrats put forward a great candidate for 2026, Roy Cooper, former popular governor of North Carolina, and I think he is a strong contender for the likelihood of winning the Senate race there. But as far as the presidential race goes, I don't think that the environment is good enough for Democrats to win North Carolina. That hasn't happened on the presidential level since 2008. And now is certainly a good environment for Democrats, but I wouldn't say it's 2008 level good quite yet. If that does materialize, things may change, but for now, I'll keep it in the Republican Party's column. And then as far as the three Rust Belt states go, I think that that Michigan and Wisconsin are the most likely to end up in Pete Buttigieg's column. I'm not certain about Pennsylvania. Ultimately, with those two states alone, it results in 273, enough electoral college votes for Pete Buttigieg to win the presidency. And generally, the three Rust Belt states do vote together. So I will put Pennsylvania also in Pete Buttigieg's column. Both candidates, like I mentioned, both have Rust Belt appeal. So I think that would kind of counteract each other. And that just with the national environment favoring Democrats pretty consistently, we've seen Democrats outperform in quite a few key elections since 2024. And I think that if the election were to be held today, this is probably how I would call it. 292 for Pete Buttigieg to 246 for the Republican J.D. Vance. Don't forget to like and subscribe.